Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu diesem Teil der Ulysses-Con. Hi, wunderbar. Also, ich bin Kai Großkort. Hallo, ich bin der verantwortliche Line-Manager für alle Sachen, wo Warhammer draufsteht bei Ulysses Spiele. So, I'm the line manager for all things Warhammer. Und bei mir sind heute von Cubicle 7 Dominic, Patrick und Zach, die nun ja über die nächste halbe Stunde uns, der Welt ein bisschen was zum Warhammer Fantasy Rollenspiel, zu Warhammer 40.000 Wrath and Glory erzählen werden. Und wenn wir die Zeit haben, am Schluss werden wir schauen, ob wir auch noch die eine oder andere Frage beantworten können, die vielleicht aus dem Chat kommt. Okay, so if it's okay for you, we will have the next parts in English. Ich werde aber versuchen, zwischendurch mal auf Deutsch zusammenzufassen, was gerade gesagt wurde, für alle, die vielleicht ein bisschen Schwierigkeiten haben. Okay, so guys, if you like, please introduce yourselves to us and to the audience and tell us a bit about what you do at Cubicle 7 and with Warhammer role-playing games.
Okay, great. No, thanks. Hi, everybody. First of all, thanks so much for inviting us to come and talk to you all. That's, yes, fantastic to be able to. I'm Dominic McDowell. I run Cubicle 7. And I think in terms of the game lines, I'm the interferer in chief. So I will just stick my nose in everywhere and stick my oar in and insist that my pet things are made into. Hopefully, I'm not too much like that. I'm one of the designers of Warhammer 4th edition, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition. I guess I help to direct what sort of things that we're doing. So that kind of like deciding which products we're going to be making, which areas we're going to explore, which things we should be doing. So I think as soon as we got the license for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, I think I was kind of aware that we were coming up to the 30th anniversary of the Enemy Within campaign. So yes, things like let's do that, the director's cut and things like that. That's been some of my great experiences with Warhammer and things like that. But that's I tend to be sort of more on that kind of like directing level. But when some projects come along that I just can't resist kind of rolling out my sleeves and getting into, then of course Warhammer 4th edition was one of those. So then I get stuck in. I think that's one of the great things about Cubicle 7 is we're all such huge gamers and we work with the things that we love. So it's what's that word? I suppose I'm biased, but I think it's dream come true territory for me. So that's great. And I'll hand over on the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay now. I'll hand over to Padraig, who is our producer.
Yeah, so I'm Padraig Murphy. I'm the producer on Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So it's been great working on it at Cubicle 7. I basically wrangle the talent, writers, artists, graphic designers, layout, interface with print, and make sure that you get the best books possible from us. And it is a very, very nice position to be in because I get to see everything as it's coming up and work to shape it into, I think, some really, really good products and some nice products. And we'll go over the books in a little bit, I think, but we'll probably get through introductions first. So yeah, that's what I do, producer on Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. And as Dom says, it's a bit of a dream job. I'm probably biased too. So
you don't have to say that, it's fine.
Yeah. And one of the nicest parts of my job is also working with Ulisses and seeing all the great translation work that they've been doing for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So it's really, really cool to see those products coming out in German, which it feels vaguely more authentic sometimes than the English version. So it's fantastic. To see that. Great. So Zach, I'll pass over.
I don't think it's something we feed back enough. Like we are so excited when your books turn up. It's
always
it's awesome. It's really, really. It's cool.
And it's great fun to be working on them. Certainly, I'm one of the greatest Warhammer nerds myself. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it's been great even to ask questions like, does this sound ridiculous in German? Is this terrible? We want to pick out a name for something like a Flusser or Flussfolk, or we were trying to find a good word for riverfolk that could work.
Work like that might actually be a whole topic in and of itself.
It probably could be, and where some of these things come from, and where we put the umlauts sometimes. But yeah, look, that's enough about that. I'll pass over to Zach.
Hi, I'm Zach Dale Clutterbook. That's my real name, and I am the producer for Warhammer 40,000 Wrath and Glory, originally designed by Ulisses. And it's the Warhammer 40,000 role-playing game. My position is very much the same as Podrig's. I'm also fortunate enough to have had the honour to work on some of the Woofer-Up Enemy Within campaign, which I think you can see a little bit of behind Dom. Is absolutely beautiful. And yeah, my position is very similar, just talking to the talent, the artists and the writers, and then watching an amazing book come out the other end. It is a dream job. We are not encouraged to say that, but it's absolutely true.
Okay, ganz kurz zusammengefasst, für alle, die jetzt vielleicht nicht so ganz mitgekommen sind. Dominic ist quasi derjenige, der auf alles ein wachsames Auge hat und generell Cubicle 7 leitet. Podrick ist derjenige, der sich um alle Dinge kümmert, die mit dem Warhammer Fantasy Rollenspiel zusammenhängen. Und nun ja, Zach kümmert sich um alles, was aus der finsteren, fernen Zukunft von Warhammer 40.000 kommt. All right, so I think it might be a good idea to, start with all things Warhammer Fantasy first. So, Podrick, this might be your part, and basically, what has happened within the old world over the last few years, and what can we expect of the future of the game line?
Oh, well, I'll be very happy to talk about that. So Warhammer 4th edition was released last year, was it, Dom? Was it late or early 2019?
Yeah, it was towards the end of 2018.
Yeah, it was at the end of 20. Yeah, so so we've got the core book out, we've got the starter set, and both of those focus very much on the province of the Reichland. You'll find a very, very nice map showing you the province of the Reichland. I think it's so that's the main setting. The starter set focuses on the town of Ubersreich, which is a fairly prosperous trading town that's recently been thrown into some rather severe political turmoil, as the ruling noble house has been kicked out on their ear, and the town is being ruled directly from the imperial capital Altdorf. So the starter set, I think, is a really, really nice place to get into Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. If you haven't played it before, it's the ideal thing to pick up along with the rulebook. Even if you are familiar with the Warhammer world, Warhammer Fantasy in general, or you've played previous editions, I still think it's worth getting. The profile in the town of Ubersreich is really, really good. The starting adventures, I think, are fantastic. They really give you a good introduction to the world, and they're a nice, exciting introduction with a nice twist of good Warhammer humor in there as well. So I think the starter set's a brilliant place to go in to get into it.
And I think that's one of the things that we're really keen at in Cubicle 7 is that when we do a starter set, it's a good introduction to the setting, a good introduction to the rules of the game. We really want to get people playing as quickly as possible, so it's focused on giving you the rules you need to play through the big adventure that we've got as part of the set. And we're also really keen that there's loads to do after you've played through that adventure as well. So like in the Unsere set, we've got a load of sort of like full page adventure seeds that people can have as their next adventure. And then that Unsere setting guide, which is a full setting book. There's so much extra play in that after you've gone through that initial adventure. And with the dice as well. I think it's important with those to give people the it's something that they get to use beyond that initial starting adventure. So that's sort of our approach across the board. I think that the Warhammer one does it really well.
Yeah, definitely. And as you say, it's something you get use out of going forward. So the town of Uberreich is explored further in our Uberreich Adventure series, which are available in PDF and print, and they're quite nice. Some of them revisit some of the NPCs and locations, and they're a great opportunity for your characters to get a kind of a reputation, to build a little bit of themselves into the world in Uberreich. So I think I really like to start a set, as you say, Dom. It's an excellent way to get into it, and it provides a lot of lasting value as well. So I think it's cool. Where we're going next is probably the Enemy Within has to be mentioned.
Certainly.
Yeah, definitely. So Enemy in Shadows and its companion volume are out in print, both the standard edition and the very, very nice collector's edition, which you can see on the shelf behind Dom there. They've got very nice covers. They come in a collector's slipcase. I think that they're, as you say, it's a 30-year, more or less, since the Enemy Within came out. So I think it's nice to have, it's good timing to have a nice collector's edition around, I think.
I'm just delighted that Graham Davis, who worked on the original, was available to come back and produce to do the director's cut for us. That's it's been awesome having him on board. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Graham's been fantastic to work with, and he's added an awful lot of little insights and revisions over the years to the campaign. So I think it really is a great definitive version of the Enemy Within.
He was putting it as 30 years of playtest, wasn't he, I think?
Yeah, exactly. So, and throughout the book, you'll find these Gronier boxes, which are aimed at people if you've played it before. Here's advice on how to shake things up and how to deal with maybe foreknowledge that some players might have and be ready to abuse. So even if you are playing it for the second time, there are some really good twists in there, and really, really horrible twists to play on your party. So there's as I say, if you've played it before, it's definitely worth dusting it off, and playing that campaign again. It's fantastic. And the companion volumes, I think, add a huge amount to it as well. The companion volumes, they're not necessary, but I think if you take a look at them, you'll definitely want them. They have loads of new NPCs. They've got a lot of extra adventures, loads of background material on the location, on the cults involved, extra enemies and challenges, and just they're really, really nice books. I think even if you're not playing the Enemy Within and you're intending to do something in and around the Reichland, the companion is probably worth picking up anyway, just for loads of detailed NPCs, huge amounts of hooks, plot hooks. There's a lot of nice stuff.
I was actually...
yes. Oh, no, please, sorry, go on.
No, I was just wanted to say that I was actually really surprised about the size and the amount of material in the companions.
Yeah, we packed it in there. You get all of the pre-gens from the pre-generated characters from the original games. You get, I think, 2 extra classic adventures updated to 4th edition. As I said, loads of NPCs, locations, some extra rules, an extra career I think we put in there as well for the occult magus. There's a whole ton of spells, some demons. There's a lot of stuff in the companion. We did cram a lot in there.
Yeah, I think we were aware that there's kind of like 2 different approaches that people will want to take. That there'll be people who just want to play through the campaign. And it's a big enough campaign on its own that they'll just want to have the main tour through such a well beloved role playing campaign. But then there's also those of us who like to personalize things and like to like to have a bit more breadth that you're putting into something. And I think for me that's one of the enormous values of the companion, is that it does give you this great toolkit for extra things that you can bring in to elaborate, to have your own sort of really make your own mark on the Enemy Within campaign, should you wish to do so. I mean, as well as just for not things not related to the Enemy Within as well, there's a lot of material that you can bring to your own campaigns, whatever. But it just really adds that breadth to what you can do with it.
So, what if you had to estimate how many years can adventuring groups play this campaign for?
Well, what's the we've had a few people saying that they got through Enemy in the Shadows in about 15 to 18 sessions. They weren't quite sure, but that seems, I think I've seen that being said. It's I think playtest wise, I'm trying to think now. I think we were fairly business-like with the Enemy in Shadows.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many. I don't think we took that long to get through it. But I think we've really made a meal of Power Behind the Throne.
Yes. Power Behind the Throne is definitely taking longer, which is the third part of the Enemy Within. So Death on the Reich is out in PDF, and its companion volume will be out in PDF quite soon. And then after that, we've Power Behind the Throne. So we've been playtesting Power Behind the Throne, and that one has been you've been poking around every nook and cranny of Middenheim, I think, which is another way of testing it, making sure everything works.
Yeah.
And I suppose while I'm mentioning Middenheim, we will also have Middenheim City, the White Wolf. I've been working on that. Yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. I think people are going to love it. And some of the environmental art in particular will be teasing shortly. It's really good. I love it. I'm really, really pleased with that one as well. So just to mention something that's not out at all yet, I think City of the White Wolf is going to be great. A really, really good city guide as well. And Altdorf is on the future for a similar treatment. That's I think 90%, 99% finished writing, somewhere in that area. So that's also coming along really nicely. And I'm very confident that Ulysses will do an excellent job on translating both of those.
I'm so much looking forward to this, because it to have this campaign in the director's cut, as you called it, in German would be such a rad thing. So yeah, it'll be on my working desk shortly, I believe.
Great,
fantastic,
awesome.
Great. So I feel like I'm monopolizing things with Wolfrup. Do we need to talk about anything else for a while? I can go on.
One of the questions we get, isn't it, is Enemy Within's great. What else are you working on as well? So we should probably reassure people that there's lots of other stuff in the works as well.
We've been having some really nice conversations about a certain book with one of our writers at the moment, and moving that along quite nicely.
May feature some fantastical beasts of some.
Yeah, and where to stab them. So that's.
Ooh.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, there's certain.
That's the final title, right?
There's
no problem with that, is there? That's.
I think, we get away with that for a blog post about it, maybe. I'd be worried about.
I mean, it's a bit of misselling, really, isn't it? It should be just awful, horrible,
fantastic beasts and how to avoid them, because there was one recently that I actually was like, TS, do we need to hold back on this thing, because it's absolutely murderous.
Was that the digesting?
Well, the digesting. No, I think the digesting works. I was thinking of the razor gore, which the razor gore is. I think on its first round it kills one of you, and then you deal with the razor gore. So we're looking forward to it. I when I took on this role, I identified kind of three major pillars that the line absolutely had to have, which is a bestiary, effectively a book of creatures, foes, enemies, a book of magic, and expanding on the existing rule set with some more of that, and some alternatives to do with more niche magic that hasn't been explored so far in 4th edition.
Right, which was actually a question Commodore Guff asked in the chat. because he would really like some more material on magic and gods and stuff, and to play his 2nd edition Runesmith again.
I have a very soft spot in my heart for Runesmith, but I can't say anything about it right now. But
All right,
we've had, but Barracool won't be the only rune blade floating around, the only work of a Runesmith. There will be more for you.
Great.
So so that was we need a bestiary, we need a book of magic, and I think I definitely have spoken enough. There's certain things that absolutely have to happen, and we are aware of. There needs to be a good balance between like things like this fantastically updated Enemy Within, older material that's been brought up, because there's a whole world of gamers who won't get to experience that unless it's updated. And I think that Graham has added so much with the director's cut that it's a whole new thing in many ways. But also I'm very aware of a hunger, which I share, for new content that just hasn't been done before. So that will also be happening.
All right. Unfortunately, our time is short, so
sorry.
I think no problem. It's a very exciting topic, but it's not the only one we're going to talk about today. So I guess we should look into the sinister future of the 41st millennium also. Which
the
is
grim darkness.
Yes. Which is Zach's domain.
It is indeed.
So what's the deal with Wrath and Glory?
Wrath and Glory. So in terms of updates, yesterday the errated version of the rulebook went out. So anyone who's looking for that can find it online at the Cubicle 7 website now and on Drive-Thru RPG, and it should be going to print as well very soon. But in terms of what it actually is the newest installment in Warhammer 40,000 roleplay. So one of the exciting things about it is Warhammer 40,000 is this incredible setting with so much like grim darkness and like phenomenal ideas and fun things to do. And Wrath and Glory kind of lets you play any way that you want. You can play like the low level, running around like gutter runners who are facing demons and things like that, and with no chance to succeed. Or you can be Space Marines, or you can mix them together. You can be a commissar, you can be a tech priest. There's this huge range of ways to play. So it's really exciting in that aspect that you kind of get to determine what kind of group you're going to be and what's going to happen, with a really accessible and like narrative-led system. So it's fun for everyone who likes 40k really, and a good starting RPG. So the rulebook is definitely the best place to start for that. And we have a whole plan for new things coming out. So the first on the list is the Forsaken System Player's Guide, which introduces new playable species of the Ogrins, Rattlings, and the Kroot. And alongside them, there will be a whole host of new archetypes. There's 20 that are planned. And then just extra other ways to play the game, more information about like the vying factions in Warhammer 40,000. Because as much as like usually you play as the Imperium, no one really gets along. So it's fun to see how everyone, even who are on the same side, are fighting each other and how to get adventures out of that. There's loads of information on those factions, on the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Adeptus Sororitas, just on everyone. Of course, there'll be a new adventure series as well. There are 2 currently planned. There's Signs of the Fane, which is a very exciting planet hopping, loads of different types of adventure, all interlinked in one book. So you can use it to just get started, or you can play a full campaign. Quite similar to Rough Nights and Hard Days from the Woofrup side.
Mm-hmm.
Also another series of 5 interlinked, but they can work individually, which is always a fun way to play, because you can still tailor them to what you want as well. And we also have Litanies of the Lost, which is, again, a series of small adventures exploring cool parts of the setting. So there's things like a manufactorum for servitors. It's really like seeing how the sausage is made, with like a creepy haunted house vibe adventure. So there's lots of opportunities for different types of adventure in 40k.
I've never seen us stay in stealth mode for quite as long as we did during that. We were afraid to even.
It was scarier than I thought.
So when playing the crude character, can I eat my slain enemies?
That is the plan. They have a very, very unique style of playing and developing and evolving, which is still in progress at the moment, but they're definitely interesting, let's put it that way. I mean, it's not unheard of. The Space Marines have a few similar tactics. So I think, yeah, we'll see how interesting it gets on that side.
We haven't decided yet whether we're going to reward or penalise people who say I am crude.
It was, yeah, the same thing with Soulbound, basically, wasn't it?
Yep.
So how many times did that happen during playtesting?
I didn't put a penalty on it instantly, but it took a little while.
Yeah, I think we were fairly self-regulating there when we count the number of times back witnesses and then work from there.
Great.
But there's the three next things to expect, and then following on from that, we'll have a big set of vehicle rules for all the many vehicles and technologies that are available, because the future is very technologically advanced and backwards at the same time. So that's always a fun thing to work out. And then some setting guides as well. I think one of the things that we've always tried to do at Cubicle 7 is, especially with the Warhammer universes, they're so fascinating, and we get to see these grand battles and things like that. We get to explore the ground level and how people actually live their lives in these crazy worlds, which is really, really fun and obviously essential for role-playing, I think.
Yeah, and both settings actually have so many facets. You can do so much with, basically based on what you would like your play to, your sessions to feel like. And
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes you can even feel heroic. It's somewhat rare, but it does happen.
I think that's one of the things I love about Wrath and Glory is the playing Warhammer 40,000 in a single system that's been cut off from the rest of the Imperium by the Cicatrix Maledictum. Changes that atmosphere. There is that kind of survival is such an important thing, and everyone needs to club together to survive. That you get those strange alliances and things that are a little bit outside of the norm. I don't know. It's got that 5 minutes to midnight kind of thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. All right. I think we don't have too much time left, unfortunately. As much as I would like to continue chatting, because I'm the biggest fanboy myself. So yeah. There was one question in the chat earlier by Cerberus who was asking that this might be something that Podrick might say something about. What about evil characters? Oh no, we don't have. Unfortunately, we don't have the time anymore. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us at the Ulisses Online Con.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, brilliant.
It was great meeting you in person.
Yes.
Fantastic to be here.
Okay, we can finish the question. Okay, great. So what about evil characters in Warhammer Fantasy roleplay, like vampires or dark elves or Skaven? I know evil is relative in Warhammer, but can you say anything about that as a player option?
Well, I suppose there's I muted myself earlier because I can talk, and I'm going to keep this short. You can look at two things, which is evil species, as it were, which is, groups that are typically presented as evil, such as the Skaven, who, from another point of view, maybe they have a point. But we will have some careers out that are specifically aimed at being, let's say, sworn to the ruinous powers, effectively. And we've already have one out with the Cult Magister in the Enemy in Shadows Companion. And you will find another similar but different career in the Death on the Right Companion that I think will scratch some of that itch. As for actual playable characters, playable evil characters, there are gameplay challenges to making that and making it a sustainable way to play. I don't want to rule it out completely. I think that it could be something that we kind of bake in some alternate rules somewhere down along the line to let people like Cerberus and others get that opportunity, because he's not the first person to
try and get some Dark Elf political campaign in. I think that'd be cool.
The Dark Elves present a lot of opportunities for that because of their politics and their connections, and they're more of Look, I'm going to stop now. We are aware of the desire for that, and that's it.
Awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to everything you're going to cook up for those game lines.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much for having us. And thanks everyone for coming to listen to us.
Absolutely.
All right. See you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Wir sind wieder da, hier auf der oberen Bühne. Das da ist die Emma.
Ja.
Das da ist der Mirko. Ich bin der Jens, wie ihr ja schon wisst.
Ja.
Und wir sind hier, um mit den nächsten internationalen Gästen zu sprechen. Und als nächstes laut meiner Liste ist der Ben McFarland von Kobold Press dran. Hi Ben. Welcome to the Ulisses Online Con.
Ah, now we can see you.
Yeah,
Hello.
now we can see you. Hi, Ben. I also see you down there on the monitor. So, Ben, be so kind and just introduce yourself to the German audience out there right now watching you in the internet.
All right. Good morning, German internet, or I guess Guten Tag, I guess is the appropriate response. My name is Ben McFarland. I am a freelance RPG game designer. It's kind of a hobby for me. I've been doing it for about 15 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's I guess it's a long-term hobby. It is not my day job. My day job is I work for Oracle Corporation, doing work on Solaris.
Okay.
But like I said, it's been a hobby for quite some time. I have freelanced for Kobold Press, Wizards of the Coast, Paizo, Wright Publishing, Storm Bunny Studios, Legendary Games, Lewis Porter Jr. Games, Atlas Games.
Quite a list.
This is quite a great list. Yeah.
A few places.
So why did we invite anyone else? We could just talk about every game line just with you.
I can talk about a lot of game lines, yes.
We are here to talk with you about the Kobold Press books, and there's one I really like to talk about in special, and this is the Tome of Beasts.
Yes.
The Tome of Beasts,
sure.
that is quite a monster of a book. We have it here. Yeah.
Okay.
We can show it to our audience. There it is. It's a book of 426 pages of monsters.
Yeah, only monsters.
Only monsters. So, and you've done playtesting for it. Can you tell us anything about the Tome of Beasts?
So Tome of Beasts was Tome of Beasts, man. That was one of our first really big playtest efforts.
Oh yeah.
It was probably the second 5th edition project coming up after the World Book, and so the playtest for it really ramped up. My goodness, we had probably, I think, over 100 playtest groups for it. My copy's over
100
my copy's over
groups.
Yeah, I want to say we so I cut my teeth with playtesting working with Atlas Games as a writer. So every Ars Magica book went through between 2 and 3 rounds of playtest. And we engaged with we didn't engage directly with the playtesters. Our editor did, and then we would get the feedback. And so I learned a lot about the process. I mean, I had been a playtester doing playtesting for Kobold Press on different projects that I helped run or that I was a patron on. So I had been on that side of the process. And then I got to watch the editor and experience the writer side of the playtest process. And so then I merged those two experiences, and I've been running playtests for Kobold Press now a while. I mean,
a while, yeah.
At least 10 years, I guess, is a good way to put it. Yeah, cool. For about 10 years. And so what we did is I divided that book up into packets based on the challenge rating of the material. And then we put out the call for playtesters. I asked them what challenge ratings they were looking for. We gave them standardized reporting forms, distributed that out to everybody, gave them windows. Really, the best. It's tough because there's not a lot of I guess written experience, or I guess a written reference on how to run playtesting for RPG materials. I know because I've been looking. You go out and you're like, all right, so who's, what's out there? What are some of the best practices, or what have people decided? And there's not a lot out there for that. There's some blog posts. There's occasionally people will talk about it on Twitter or on other social media. You'll see us posting about it. I found a couple of posts, and I took them to heart on different things. And one of the primary things that they mentioned is to have the questions for your play testers, written out ahead of time. It's always something that I go back to the authors of a particular piece or the editor in a case like Tome of Beasts, because really the editor's already done an initial pass on all those monsters when they come to me, looking for, sanity check on the material. And so then, it's usually the questions that we ask to playtesters for Tome of Beasts are, was this monster interesting? Did you enjoy putting them on the table?
Yeah. Did you ask the players or the GMs? That could be different answers, I think. Sometimes the monster is really great for the GM, but the players are just getting panic in their eyes, which can be fun for many players out there to experience a bit of a panic when they see a monster. I especially refer to Marcus as our GM in charge for many of our Let's Plays, and he always has a lot more fun on horrible monsters than his players have.
I jokingly call that the pucker factor. And yes. So the answer to your question is yes.
Good.
We ask both as well, because what we do is we provide a playtest report. Like I have a standardized playtest report, and that playtest report has questions for both the GMs and the players. We, at the end of it, we ask specifically, what were your players' experiences with this creature? What are their comments based on it? We presume that generally the GM is going to be the person completing the playtest report, but that they should, and we put in there some direction. We're like, all right, so after you run this, one of the main things is if there's something about the creature that just goes off into the weeds, right? You start playing and they kill it first round because they get their everybody wins initiative and the monster goes last and they just smash it and it's done. Yeah. Well, we say, okay, that's not such a good play test. I mean, it's good to know, right? But that's not an effective play test for us. So we usually say, okay, so now reset the thing, right? Reset the encounter and try it again, this time with the monster going first or with the monster going in the middle, right? The biggest problem that we can run into when we initially get playtesters who haven't playtested ever before is they take the material and they're like, I'm just going to incorporate it into my game. This is going to be the Thursday night session. I'm going to use these monsters from the playtest and we'll see how they work. But otherwise, it's just going to be like any other Thursday night. And I'm just going to continue my campaign, but with some brand new monsters from Kobold Press. And that's nice. Right, it's great to get those reports, but then we get those reports can tend to drift into the, we killed it in one round, it was okay, I didn't really get much out of it. And you get those reports and you're like, wow, thank you, I really appreciate your reporting, it's great that you're playtesting for us, but that's less useful, right? So we set those reports aside. They're like, those kind of become a generic, yes, this monster was good, no, this monster was bad.
Yeah, this is not so helpful feedback. There are several hundred monsters in this book. Over 400 monsters to kill and to fight with in one big monster of a book. So how long did it take you and your playtesters to test Tome of Beasts?
So we had, I want to say, 12 weeks. 12 weeks. So what we did is
that's very fast.
It is, and I would have preferred 16 weeks.
Okay.
But at the time frame, generally, I feel like so what we did is we divided that up into two sets of about 100 monsters each. And then I take that group of 100, and like I said, we broke it up. I probably had about 8 cohorts of monsters. So you had about 8 sets of monsters. So the 100 gets broken up then into a group of around 12 monsters in a packet. And those are set up by challenge rating, right? And then that packet of 12 monsters is given to a group of playtesters. So I have 100 playtest groups. So I have each group is about 12 playtest groups, more or less, depending. I usually have a little more, a little denser number of playtesters in the lower challenge ratings than I do in the higher challenge ratings. But I also usually have fewer monsters in the higher challenge ratings than I do in the lower challenge ratings. So it evens out. Basically, we take that package of about 12 monsters, and then we give it to a group of 10 playtest groups. And then they have a 6-week period. Like I said, I prefer an 8-week period because that gives enough time for people to reschedule if there's a problem. Right. Or like we had right now with Tome of Beasts 2, as we distributed our first set of playtest packets and we're closing in on the end of the first playtest period, the pandemic really went into full swing here in the United States. And so I had a lot of playtesters who were like, we just couldn't meet. So I had a lot of tables that just bailed.
So you are right now telling us that this book of several hundred monsters was not enough, and so you are right now working on Tome of Beasts 2.
Well, that is and Tome of Beasts 2, because numbering is always a challenge, is actually the third book of creatures because there's Tome of Beasts, and then there's Creature Codex, and now and then there's Tome of Beasts 2. It mirrors, right? You have Monster Manual, then you have Fiend Folio, then you have Monster Manual 2. So we have Tome of Beasts, and then Creature Codex, and Tome of Beasts too.
And they are all similar size.
All similar
Exactly, it's
size. So
Yeah,
talking
right.
monsters, I've gone through this book, and I have one question. What is your personal favorite monster that you want to present your players of? I only have these Tome of Beasts 1, so maybe you have it with you. What is your favorite monster? There are so brilliant, several kinds of dragons, of everything, dinosaurs, giants, devils. I didn't know how many devils you could put in one book.
Yes, the devils are super fun.
Devils were super fun. You can't hear this sentence very often in a small talk. Really. What I have to say is the devil is really fun. And even more than one devil is more fun. So you don't hear this very often.
No.
So what is your favorite one?
Honestly, my favorite, and I have a little trouble because I did playtesting for both. Sometimes the monsters jumble together a little bit, but I honestly love the Void Dragon.
Void Dragon.
I think he's in that book. I hope he's in that book.
I think I'm looking for dragons,
and it is almost finished in German.
Yeah,
dragons. I think I'll find. Just keep on talking. There's the Void Dragon. This is really. I don't know if people are seeing this. It's a bit darkish. There you are. So this is the Void Dragon, and it's really beautiful because the Void Dragon looks like he's just a piece of dark outer space with stars in it, and I think he's killing a lot of groups.
He is. He's actually pretty brutal.
Yeah.
He's not a nice monster. And I have a lot of soft spots. I have a lot of soft spots for different monsters in there. I think there is there's one devil who is covered in gold. And his name is I'm forgetting his name specifically, if he's like an avarice devil or
a devil covered in gold.
He is from an old adventure that I've worked on, so I've
see him, the Gilded Devil.
Thank you. Yes, the Gilded Devil is kind of like an old friend, because I helped write him for 4th edition, and then he got a conversion to Pathfinder, and then now he's in 5th edition, and also like the Lich Hound. So I made the Lich Hound for Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 all those years ago, and he's been translated into like 4th edition and Pathfinder, and now 5th edition. So the Lich Hound is kind of an old friend in there. And actually, my brother did some art for him a long time ago. Same with the Bone Powder Ghoul. He's also
Powder Ghoul. The library automaton looks really funny. This is. I have to show this to the people. This is just a really funny creature, I think. Great.
Which one?
The library automaton.
Oh yes.
He looks so funny.
Doesn't he? He reminds me, the art for him reminds me of some of the old Modron art. Tony P. Terlizzi and from Planescape. I like the library automaton. He's a funny little creature.
Yeah, so we still have 5 minutes, and I want to reach out to another topic. We have even more. We have seven minutes. So a lot of time more. Let's talk Margrave.
Yeah. Oh, yes, please.
Margrave, can you tell our German audience out there what Margrave is, just in short words?
Translating the player's book.
Yeah, we are translating.
Yeah.
And Tales from Old Margrave.
Yeah, so just tell the people out there what Margrave is. You've got 6 minutes.
You got it. So Margrave is stories of the deep, dark woods, right? These are stories of, that you might associate with the Teutoburger Wald, right? Or the Black Forest of a dark forest that is watching you and is thick and dense and full of fairies and spirits and witches, and Baba Yaga's hut wanders through it, and there are ghouls hunting from the north, and there are Vodunoi infesting its rivers, and there are, kobolds mining its hills, and you don't go off the road unless you maybe have a real good reason, and if you do go off the road, you know that the forest itself is watching you, and there are old overgrown towers from previous kings that have grown, the forest has reclaimed, and there are little villages that of people who have lived there for generations and generations, and they've kind of become attuned to it, and it is the deep dark woods.
And what kind of characters do you play inside of Margrave? Always interesting for the players out there.
In most of my games, you are playing characters who have come from more urban environments, and the forest is a foreign place, right?
Okay.
It's imposing on them. I have seen folks play, kind of like, children of the forest, people who've grown up in that region, but then they don't have much experience outside the forest because it's a very insular place. I prefer to have those games where people are coming in and they're experiencing that oppressive, watching view of the forest on them. That's a scary place. I mean, if you live there, it's less scary, right? Because this is where you're from. If you're not from the forest, then the forest is just always, it's looking at you, and that's what I like about it, is it adds a whole layer of really kind of, I don't want to say, I guess a layer of fear that you don't ordinarily get especially in like 5th edition, where characters are so heroic and so tough, right? The idea that the forest is watching, and that the forest kind of knows where you are, or that it is paying attention to what your actions are inside the forest, makes it a tough, it changes people's play style a little bit. Cool. Which is nice as a place to visit. Cool. And a place
in a game where you usually end up with killing gods, having a really unfriendly environment seems really fun. The way you just displayed us, the forest lurking at you, makes me wish to have you as a GM sometime.
That's kind of you to say. That's very kind of you to say.
Ben,
yes.
So I think we are nearly at the end. If you have anything you want to say to the German audience out there, now these are your 3 minutes. Just tell us about Kobold Press, cool things coming up, what to expect next. Just advertise your work, and Kobold Press, your minutes to go.
All right, so for Kobold Press, right now, coming up, we are finishing, like I said, Tome of Beasts 2. The playtesting is complete. The book is in editing. It should be on its way. Empire of the Ghouls just shipped, which is an adventure path set in the Underdark. The underground caverns. A group of ghouls is going across the kind of a Midgard spanning adventure, dealing primarily with horrible flesh-eating ghouls.
Cool.
Both of those are a lot of near and dear to my heart. And then for myself personally, when I'm not doing stuff for Kobold Press, I work over on a site called RPG Design Camp, where we kind of help show people the ropes of freelancing and doing some design work. We're in the middle of doing an adventure. Yeah, and I really dig that. I also help run the Sub Rosa fanzine for Ars Magica. Yay Rhine Tribunal. And I've been doing that for about 15 years now, I guess, as well, Ars Magica. And and Sub Rosa issue 22 should be ready to go here pretty shortly. If you dig Ars Magica, we'd love to have you. That's pretty much every. Oh, and I've also lately, just really quick, is Bloodlines and Black Magic is a 5th edition kind of inspired game of modern supernatural.
Cool.
I like the little darker tinge to it. That's from Storm Bunny Studios. I really have been digging that. He is just about got the whole thing out in the world. There is a Pathfinder variant that is currently available, but there's what we're calling kind of a D20 intuitive. It's very similar to D20, but not quite. There's enough changes that it runs, we think, a little better. But
if you don't think it's better, then there's no cost for doing it. So
right, exactly. so Bloodlines and Black Magic, like I said, is kind of a modern supernatural setting and game.
Sounds
and I
fun.
really, yeah, that was what I almost got co-opted out of today to do, but we ended up shifting in the dates on that, and so here I am, and it was awesome. I was glad to be able to make it.
So, thank you very much for joining us here on the Ulisses Online Con. The hashtag is UOC2020. We will continue doing this till 11:30 p.m. tomorrow. We have a whole program all night long, all day. And bye-bye. I hope to see you soon. Have a nice day. Bye, Ben.
Have a good night.
So, das war der liebe Ben McFarland von Kobold Press und der liebe Nico. Fand ich auch sehr interessant, auch mal zu erfahren, wie das mit dem Playtesting ist und das hinter so einem Buch mit einer Myriaden Monstern.
Ja, wir haben ja ganz ähnliche Erfahrungen gemacht.
Ja, da steckt halt einfach wahnsinnig viel Arbeit hinter.
Bei Hexen habe ich auch viel mit vorgearbeiteten Formularen gearbeitet, die ausgefüllt werden mussten. Am Ende wurde es dann ganz anders. Aber gut, dafür machen wir das ja auch.
Ja.
Also das ist tatsächlich etwas, was man ja mal machen muss.
Ich fand es halt mal interessant, tatsächlich auch zu zeigen, dass das Entwickeln von solchen Monstern nicht nur einfach ist, ja, hier, ich schmeiß da mal 1W6 Werte drauf, sondern es wird getestet, es wird geändert und auch das nicht einfach, wie er gesagt hat, man nicht einfach sagt, ach cool, neues Monster, packe ich in mein Abenteuer, schreibt zurück, war nicht so geil, sondern man versucht das Monster man testet es unter unterschiedlichen Bedingungen.
Ja, sie müssen interessant sein, die Monster. Also es gibt sehr, sehr viele Monster in D&D, die einfach nur draufhauen. Die haben so und so viele Trefferpunkte und machen so und so viel Schaden und fertig. Davon gibt es genug. Und dafür braucht man kein Buch. Aber die Monster, die da drin sind, die haben alle noch so einen kleinen, gar nicht mal so, dass die jetzt 50 verschiedene Werte hätten oder sowas. Die haben immer so eine kleine Eigenschaft, die sie ein bisschen besonders macht, wo man auch dann als Spieler davor steht und sagt, ja, wie besiegen wir das Monster jetzt?
Man muss sich halt immer in der Taktik so ein bisschen anpassen. Was ist dein Lieblingsmonster?
Ich mag ja grundsätzlich Untote.
Habe ich noch nicht gemerkt, als ich Hexen gelesen habe, ist mir nicht aufgefallen.
Nein, ich mag tatsächlich Untote immer sehr, weil man kann da richtig viele fiese Sachen draus machen.
Ja.
Aber es gibt immer irgendwo irgendwas Spezielles, ne, was man... Also ich mag die Monster, die wirklich interessant sind.
Was ist dein Lieblingsmonster im nächsten Hexen?
Im nächsten Hexen?
Ja.
Da wird es sehr, sehr, sehr große Monster geben.
Sehr große?
Seemonster. Dazu erzähle ich morgen mehr.
Apropos morgen, Mirko, ich bedanke mich für deinen Besuch hier auf der Bühne. Ich habe gerade gesagt bekommen, dass schon mein nächster Gesprächspartner hier wartet, beziehungsweise da wartet. Vielen Dank, dass du hier warst, Mirko. Ich freue mich schon. Das Netz ist schon ausgerastet, weil Finstere Herzen die Streaming-Kampagne weitergehen wird.
Super.
Die Leute drehen ein bisschen am Rad deswegen und das freut mich.
Ich auch.
Und
ihr seid aber auch so gut gewesen. Ich fand das wirklich klasse. Und das Finale erst.
So, es reicht. Ich schmeiß dich jetzt raus. Das reicht.
Jetzt schmeißen sie mich raus.
Sie sind raus.
Es war wirklich gut.
Als nächstes, liebe Leute da draußen, begrüßen wir von Paizo, den lieben Michael Sayre. Welcome here to Ulisses Online Con. I've did a bit of research about you in the internet, so I'm just stating out the OK pages, so no cause for panic. What I found about you, you're a barbarian level 5, and you did cross-classing and are designer level 5 also. You are male, medium size-ish, like you say it in your profile, size medium-ish. Your assignment is chaotic good, which I really love to hear, because I'm too a bit between chaotic good and chaotic evil. Can't decide all the time what I want to be. It changes. It changes. And what I found really interesting is your languages. You speak Common, i.e., I think, aka English, but you also speak Gnome. You speak Gnomish, cool, Russian, and Spanish. Welcome, Michael. Would you like to greet our German audience in Gnomish?
Not this early in the morning, no.
What time is it there where you are?
So for me, it is 7 a.m.
7 a.m. Which makes me even more grateful to greet you here. So, let's talk Pathfinder. How long do you work for Paizo and the Pathfinder family?
So I have been with Paizo as a developer for a little over 2 years now. And I have been working on the Pathfinder role-playing game in one edition or another for about 7 years.
7 years now, cool. How excited were you when you heard that Pathfinder 2 should be developed with all the brilliant changes you've done to the system?
So the story of me and Pathfinder 2nd Edition was actually very entertaining. I interviewed with Paizo, and one of the things they had asked me about was, what kind of new products do you think that the system needs? And during the interview, I said, well, obviously you guys aren't going to do a new edition, but here's some cool ideas for things that we could.
Great.
First day of work, I was sitting in an office with Adam Daigle, and he says, oh, hey, look at this binder. And I was like, wow, these are really cool pictures. This is Wayne Reynolds art, right? And these are the Iconics. They're really, oh, there's a new edition, isn't there? And Adam said, yes, that's...
Cool, cool. So you were deeply involved into 2nd edition.
I was thrown in right as the ball on that was really starting to move. I had about 6 months where I had to keep it under my hat and make sure no one knew that that it was going on until we announced it.
I've seen pictures and videos from Gen Con last year with people piling up, eager to buy the 2nd edition. So what happened? Just give us a bit of an inside view on the Pathfinder community in the US and how the reception of Pathfinder 2 is in the US.
So, you know, it's been really, really amazing to see how quickly people jumped into Pathfinder 2nd Edition at the cons. Gen Con is always just packed. It's always an amazing event. This one was particularly amazing. We had more coverage, more points of sale, and more copies of books than we'd ever brought of anything, and they were flying off the shelves. We were having restock. And it seems to have only continued to grow since then, which is particularly pleasing given that we're in month 6 or 8 or something of a global pandemic. That was obviously really scary for all of us because we're used to the idea that people play our game sitting all together in a room with physical books. But the community seems to have adapted in really amazing ways and just continued to grow through all of this.
Which brings us to another point, the organized play, which is somehow also under your hand. Just tell me, how does it work, your organized play on Pathfinder?
So fundamentally, what we have is a real-world global MMO, right? We create a story where I outline 2 to 3 adventures a month, working with my team that includes James Case and Linda Zayas Palmer. We also have Thurston Hillman over on the Starfinder side, also known as Thirsty, and then Sophia and Alex and Op. And so all of us working together as a team handle different pieces of this program, and then we have a huge network of volunteers all over the world who are our GMs and our community organizers who help continue to support and spread this game through the monthly adventures that we produce.
Really cool. So players can just like an abo or something like this. They sign in and they get these adventures.
So you to report the adventures, you need to have an account on Paizo.com, and we do sell the scenarios and the quests. So if you are a volunteer who has registered with us and worked with us, there's a good chance that we send you those adventures for free to support your location.
Cool.
If you're playing at home, then you do still need to buy these adventures. They're $4.99 typically for the 4-hour adventures, and then $1.99 for the 1-hour adventures.
Yeah, which is really cool. You get some quick and easy adventures to play with your group, which sounds really good. We just recently finished the late pledge phase of Time of the Ashes. Time of the Ashes, the adventure path. Is it called Time of the Ashes in English?
Age of the Ashes.
Age of the Ashes. I'm so sorry about that, my mistake. So Age of the Ashes, and I'm really eager to get my hands on it because I'm also a Pathfinder 2 GM, and I can't wait to have it in my hands. Just tell our German fans out there a short outline, not too many spoilers, because one of my players is just looking on what Age of the Ashes is and what people can expect of these really, really epic adventure path.
So Age of Ashes really takes a lot of the best things about fantasy role-playing in general and Pathfinder specifically, and puts them together into this adventure to launch the. So you have exploring new places, going through dungeons, portals that will take you all over the world of Galarian, so you can see what it looks like in 2nd edition. You'll have some castle building, and you'll have a lot of, obviously, dragons, because what's a fantasy without some dragons? And it's honestly, I've actually already played the whole thing.
You played the whole thing? How long did it take you?
It took about 9 months.
9 months.
To play through, which is a record for our group. We've played several APs. Many of them we never actually finished. About 5 we have finished, and they each took close to 2 years. So this is the fastest we've ever completed an adventure path.
Yeah. I've read through it, and I don't know if you've seen it. Our limited edition is a golden leatherette with dragon scales on it. This is the limited edition of the adventure path, and it looks so freaking cool. I really love that one. I can't stop myself from buying it. So a bit more spoiler into the story. So what is happening in Age of the Ashes?
So there is I'm trying to think of how to do this without being real spoily, right? So it starts out there's a problem with some goblins, and there is this castle in the wilderness that used to be an old Hell Knight fort. You go to check it out, and the events that are actually happening turn out to be a lot different than what they thought you were when you went. I'm getting to big spoiler territory now, so plug your ears if you don't want that. But underneath this castle, you find a magical set of doorways. And if I say what they are, then people who are big fans are gonna like go. So I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
But those doorways are not just a way for the heroes to explore the world, but they're a way that other things are moving in the world as well, which is what builds towards this climax that, as I mentioned, involves some dragons who have been previously named in our setting and are creatures of probably a lot of interest to some fans, and what they've been doing for several generations now in Golarion. And it's hard not to spoil things.
I've read through it. I've read through parts of it, and everything you can tell about these adventure paths is spoiling a bit. So let's move on from Age of the Ashes to what's coming next. What are you planning next for Pathfinder 2? What is upcoming? What is the new cool shit on Pathfinder 2?
So we've got Gen Con this coming weekend, next week, and the scenarios and the new adventures that we have planned for that are pretty much universally the things that I'm most proud of. I feel like they are really representative of where I'm at my point in my career, where Pathfinder 2nd Edition has taken us. We have some really, really, really cool adventures that are coming out. On the organized play side, we've got 124 Grim Symphony, where you travel into Ustalav, which is a very kind of Transylvanian setting. If you're not familiar with the world of Golarion, it's very focused on vampires and kind of gothic horror. And you need to go serve an eviction notice to a mad maestro in his castle, and it's got a lot of fun tropey set piece fights that are going to be really, really fun, and some entertaining social and exploration. Another adventure that's for levels 5 to 8, and that one takes place in Numeria, where we have all the robots and lasers and things like that. That has some very interesting monsters and things that I had to work with several other people in the company to make sure we did right, because Pathfinder 2nd published rules for robots and laser guns yet.
Yeah, you have a fantasy game with laser guns, so this is really cool. And this is one thing I really love about Pathfinder, that you can nearly play everything from Cthulhu gothic horror to classic fantasy to feudal dark gods sitting somewhere. The rune masters, is it?
Rune Lord.
The Rune Lords. There's so much cool stuff to present to your players in every part of this land, this world, Golarion, and this is only a part because some of them don't even come from this planet. And this makes, for me as a GM, Pathfinder brilliant. Going a bit into playing, what's your favorite character class on Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and why?
Oh, okay, so Monk is probably my favorite. I've always liked monks. I like the martial arts aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were playtesting 2nd Edition, I have probably, and I feel very safe making this game, spent more hours playing a monk in Pathfinder 2nd Edition or the early versions of Pathfinder 2nd Edition than any other human on this planet.
Sounds fun. So you really are a monk right now.
Yeah, there are some really exciting things in our Advanced Player's Guide, which is also coming out in just a few days. That
cool.
What my favorite builds and things are. But yeah, the monk, when we were working on Pathfinder 2nd edition, I was constantly going and borrowing, bothering Logan and Mark, Bonner and Seifter on the design team, going, hey, so the monk, it's cool that he has a key blast, but obviously that should be a 1 to 3 action variable, right? And they were like, yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. And the mountain stance that's in there in part came about because I was playing a high strength, low dexterity monk in Seifter's Shattered Star playtest game. And so I had a terribly low AC through that whole adventure. But I loved that in 2nd edition, I was able to flurry of blows an enemy and then demoralize another enemy and then jump back out of range so that they couldn't hit me without having to come back up to me and burn some actions. So my AC didn't really matter. My defenses weren't as important as the fact that I was just bouncing all over the map.
Yeah, just like a flipping ping pong ball. A hitting, fighting, flipping ping pong ball, killing other monsters. Great. I played in Pathfinder. Unfortunately, I was only a GM in Pathfinder 2nd edition. In 1st edition, I really loved to play a Shoanti Beastmaster. And that was really funny. I really love Beastmasters in Pathfinder 1st edition. And maybe someday I'm also a player and not only a GM in Pathfinder 2 and get to play my mountain high hammer wielding barbarian Beastmaster.
Just being one of my favorite class, my highest level character in organized play for 1st edition was also a Shoanti barbarian. He had the Mad Dog archetype, so he had a pet bear, and been fought with the Thunder and Fang, the hammer and shield.
Brothers in mind, my friend. This is just fun. So we still have 3 minutes to go. As always, in the talks I've done before, the last 3 minutes of this talk totally belong to you. Just give a message to our Pathfinder players in Germany out there. Why to play Pathfinder 2nd edition and what is great about it and how they should just dive into it.
So Pathfinder 2nd edition is the culmination of many, many talented people. And I'm not talking about myself when I say that, though if someone throws me in that group, I appreciate it. It's the culmination of many talented people all contributing their best ideas and everything that they've learned across, careers of varying lengths, many of them very long in this industry. The design team created this amazing framework of a game in the core rulebook that's intuitive. It's easy to play. It solves a lot of the problems that plagued role-playing games for a long time. I have a friend who used to never want to play spellcasters. He just thought they were too much to handle. He loves playing his sorcerer in 2nd edition. It's his favorite thing in the world. And because of the unique framework of it, is growing exponentially with an amazing amount of options. In just days, we've got the Advanced Player's Guide coming out here.
You already have one, and fans out there are waiting for it.
I traveled into the office the other day and got books while I was there.
Okay, Michael, it was a really great pleasure talking to you despite all the technical stuff. Maybe someday we will meet each other and have you as a DM, and then I can play my Shoanti Beastmaster again in Pathfinder 2nd edition. Feel invited to visit us in Germany in April next year when we have our real convention, 9th to 11th April next year, just here near Frankfurt, our own convention. Just feel invited. Come visit us, and we are really looking forward to more epic adventures in Pathfinder 2. Michael, thank you. Wish you a nice day. Sorry for waking you up this early.
I'm sorry we had those technical issues and lost some time there, but it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, bye-bye, Michael. See you soon and have a nice day. So, das war Michael Sayre von Paizo. Man hat ein bisschen meine Begeisterung gemerkt. Ich mag Pathfinder 2nd Edition wirklich sehr, sehr gerne. Wir haben da schon eine tolle Gruppe. Wir haben bisher den Untergang von Peststein gespielt, das kleine Abenteuer, was dabei war. Und wir haben da gemerkt, wie schwierig das ist, einen Streuner und einen Paladin mit rechtschaffend gut in einer Gruppe zu haben. Die Sturmdruidin hat dann auch nicht geholfen. Das war eine doch sehr explosive Mischung an Charakteren. Nichtsdestotrotz hat es viel Spaß gemacht. Und ich werde sie alle mit goldenen und roten Drachen konfrontieren. Und wir werden mal sehen, was bei Zeit der Asche so rauskommt. Ihr merkt, ich überbrücke wieder Zeit. Wir bauen einen nächsten Call auf zu unserem nächsten Gast. Und das ist für mich ganz persönlich eine wirklich, wirklich große Freude, mit dem nächsten Gast zu sprechen. Daniel, can you hear me right now? There he is. And I'm really looking forward to talk to Daniel Lehto. He's the guy behind this brilliant game, Äventyr. And each one who's seen me on conventions through the last year knows how big of a fan I am of Äventyr. Greetings, Daniel.
Thank you.
So, just tell the people a bit about yourself. Some of our watchers might not know you. Who are you and what are you doing?
Well, I'm a Swedish game designer. I have been working with Äventyr for about 10 years, and have also been involved in Swedish games like Call of Cthulhu Sweden and other horror games, because that works very well with children's games. And I'm also a dad. I have 3 kids. My daughter, who invented this game Äventyr with me, she was 5 when we started, and she's 16 now. So I guess I'm pretty old by now.
We all are, Daniel. We all. How old is how's her name? Sarah, right? No.
No, Julia.
Julia. How old is she now?
She's 16.
16 right now, and she started her own role-playing game when she was 5. For all the people out there who never heard about Äventyr, please explain what's that game about.
It's about adventure. It's about it's kind of playing. When you are a kid, you used to play, but you have no rules. We just added rules so that children's play and made a game out of it. So it's full of fantasy, imagination, and awesome silliness.
Awesome silliness is really a thing. When we were on stage last year in Limburg, we talked about some of your monsters that Julia invented, and they are so much fun. We just delivered a few months ago. We delivered the crowdfunding game in Germany, and we get really, really good feedback from players out there. And they said me that I should thank you for this brilliant game, especially in these times of pandemic. It was really good for them to have something to play with their children. and something they could do every time, every day, without getting boring at all. So how is the world Äventyr is playing in?
It's actually started out with just a small island, and as my daughter grew older, we expanded the world. So now it's a complete fantasy world with a detailed history, geography, and it's really well. We have thought about every issue in this, so it will stick together. Yeah.
And it's all called the world is Mazona, where this all takes place in, and Alea Mazona is the key, the center island, right?
Yeah.
Where children start playing.
Yes, actually the name is a play with a Swedish word for the female warrior Amazon. So we just switched the letters in that. And I think when my daughter was younger, and even more now, she was very much into women's rights, and she thought that why are all the illustrations in your other games like Dungeons and Dragons old versions? Why it's just boys? I want princesses. So we made the game for people like her.
Yeah, and this is also one thing that I really like about this game, that it's so integrative, that there are not only princesses but also princes, and there are warriors and warriors. So there's both. You can play everything you want inside this game. I've just spoke in the children's book, the first one with Hopper and Sarah. How it is called in your language is entführt, departed.
Yeah, a kind of kidnapped more in Swedish.
Kidnapped, right. And I've got messages that people just want more of this story of Hopper and Sarah, and they get a bit annoyed, especially parents get a bit annoyed of my voice, because children listen to this audible book every night with the story of these two, and so the parents also have to listen to it, which is a really great story.
That's a good. It's a good reception, actually. Yeah,
I think yes. So what's coming up next in the Swedish version of Äventyr? What are you planning?
We are releasing magic books this fall in October, and also starting a new children's book series about the girl on the cover and her dragon.
Cool.
Yeah. Also, next year we are hopefully publishing part 2 and 3 in the story about Sarah and the hopping.
Yeah, people are really longing for this part 2 and 3 of the story.
Yeah, yes. The author is working on it.
Cool.
So it's on the way, and also we are releasing a space version of the game this fall.
A space version?
Yes, Storytale Space.
Great. So will it be fantasy or sci-fi?
It will be sci-fi, that space version, but we are working with a slightly different concept with that one. We are having one rule book and then 3 different worlds you can play in. So you buy the world book that you find fitting for your game.
Is it also for children, this space book?
Yes, it is. It's for 6 years up. We are co-working with a Swedish author whose name is Camilla Linde, and she has written these books for children 6 to 9 years old about space pirate, the space pirate Snack Parrows.
Snack Parrows.
Yeah.
Sounds
Does it ring any bell?
familiar.
Yeah.
It does ring a bell. I can't really recall why, but maybe people out there know where it comes from. It sounds really. You can play space pirates.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah. So it's one of the worlds are based on that her children's books. I think she has written 4 today's date. And one of the other worlds are based on another series of books that's more for, I don't know, 10 years up, maybe. And that theme is kind of about environmental. The Earth is kind of not inhabitable anymore because mankind has destroyed our home. So we had to find another place. So it has a little bit darker theme than the other one.
So yeah, it's also a good way, I think, to explain to children these part of our world. Children nowadays are confronted with these with war somewhere on the world, or a pandemic, and things coming out of the ordinary. And so, yeah, I think playing games is always a good way to talk to children about these events. Had you this in mind when doing some kind of dystopical children's setting?
Yeah, absolutely. We are actually working very. We try to work very pedagogic, and we have also. This previous adventure, Äventyr, we let that we gave that game to I don't know, a person at the university in a city close there, and he looked at the game, pictures, text, and everything, and from including in an including perspective, how we handle. Gender roles and stuff, and he said that we are doing pretty well in that area, but we are taking it serious, and we want to live up to that reputation, and that's why we talked to this guy. We actually paid him to do this, and we said you get paid no matter what you say. If you say it's crap, then you still get paid, because we want an honest answer.
This is it's always you don't have anything from people lying to you just because you give them money.
No.
What we've done in our crowdfunding is that we we gave people the possibility to present a basic game of Äventyr to children's homes, children's hospitals, and things like this for half of the price, which was really well received, and we've sent out several copies of the game to children's shelters and places like this out there, to a hospice for children with cancer, and this was really good taken by the people out there. And yeah, from time to time we will always get reports of parents playing with their children, and I think this all gives you right that you've gone the right way with Äventyr. And we have something new for the people out there. We also said that yesterday in our keynote, but maybe some of the people watching us right now were not in the keynote. We are really happy that you gave us the permission to do Äventyr also in English. So we will bring this to the people all around the world, and I'm really looking forward for this. So we will do crowdfunding this year for the English version, and hopefully we get the English version of Äventyr out just before Christmas, so that under the Christmas tree children can have their game. What did Julia say to the plush of Hopper?
Oh, that's adorable.
It was really hard for me to get Marcus to do this. From the beginning I thought this should have been done. So this is one of the most adorable creatures. If you look just behind his maybe strange appearance, these are so great creatures. For the people out there not knowing what the hoppers are, can you describe them to our viewers?
Yes, it's actually a round ball with 2 legs and 1 big eye. And since they have no mouth, they can't eat, so they are telepathic, and they eat, without knowing it, they are eating life energy from people and growth around them, making people sick and plants sick. They don't intend to, they are very nice and very pleased, and they just want to be friends with people, but they have, unfortunately, this ability that affects people in a bad way. And that's actually an issue in this book with objects. And we are, in the upcoming books, that's actually one of the key elements, as you will see next year. Yeah.
This is one thing I always see at your monsters in the book, that they don't have only one side. There's no orcish guy who just wants to kill. They all have more than one aspect. There is one creature we talked about, and I want to bring up here again, because we had some fights in the internet the last days, and there is one creature coming up when people fight and have arguments with each other. It looks like a big humanoid bird. Just tell people about this creature.
Yeah, in Swedish it's called surpuppa. It's kind of a grumpy, angry creature who, when people are annoyed and angry and irritated and make fuss with each other, then this creature, well, I want to be there because I live on that kind of energy. So if you see a surpuppa, then you know that you are making trouble.
Yeah, and this is one thing I really like. If you have, and there's an advice in the book, if the children you are playing with have an argument and fight each other, then just bring up this creature and confront children with one saying, okay, you want to fight, you're right with it. Just fight with each other. You're right, you're always right. He's the bad guy. No, he's the bad guy. And till the children are irritated and they have an combined enemy. So they regroup again and have this enemy in front of them. And this is a really, really brilliant idea of bringing people back together. Just mirror them how dumb fighting is.
Yeah, and it's not my creation actually. It's one of our players who invented this creature and sent it to us and asked, please, can you put this in your book? And we said, of course we will. It's brilliant.
It is. So you always participate your players as much as you can in your books?
Yeah, we do.
Cool. We did this in crowdfunding, and you also did this with the possibility for getting drawings in the books of their children. And there are some really, really nice stories. We have really cool children's pictures inside the German version. You left us a part of the world where we can create our own Germish area, and people really liked it, and there were several parents sending in pictures of their children and asked us to incorporate them in the books. And you've done this in Sweden too. Can you share one or two stories of these incorporated biased children in the game? You already told me some, but I want to leave it up to you.
Yes, we had actually different levels. The first one was Princess and Princess, where you could make your child a prince or princess in a country that you had to co-invent with us for the game. And then we had these heroes that were kind of non-player figure that the game master could use. And for these, parents sent in photos and a backstory, and then we did our thing and said, okay, what do you think? And they almost always went, wow, that's amazing. And we had one parent who sent in a picture for a girl, and her, I think it was her sister, had died a couple of years ago. But in the game, they are friends still. The one is a ghost, and the other one is alive.
This is so brilliant and sad and at the same time. But now they are inside of your book, and they are just friends for eternity because they are on pages of a book. And this is, I don't even have words on how nice this is, and how nice this also must be for the family, for just getting over it and just reflecting a death in family. And and as you say, you are right now creating a more dystopic game to play with children, to help children deal with war, pandemic, and stuff like that. And also you have this that states that role-playing is just good for your soul.
Yeah, and actually our game is used in what you call a childcare for all the kids after school. Here in Sweden, pretty much, and also used in a few subjects in school where the kid can choose from a different level of subjects, and then some teachers think we can play this game because there you have Swedish, you have a little mathematics, and you can make social, and it's very pedagogic, so we can use this for many different lectures. So it's used in school, and we are trying to manage a teacher's compendium for how to adapt and stuff like that.
Really cool. So especially in this time of pandemic, we've seen here in Germany that this escapism is really important for everyone. And role-playing is escapism from the daily trouble you see out there. And I don't know how much time we have left right now. Just I wait for a sign. We've got 5 minutes left for this call till the next call comes in. Unfortunately, we could not see each other here. So you've made Trolldom, and you've bring up these space adventures for children. What are the next plans? Just looking into the future. Where are you going to? Your daughter's getting older. She will leave school right now.
Yeah, she actually has been telling me for years that we have to make a more bloody game.
Of course.
Yeah, but we'll see. I think I'm kind of into this children's adventures, and I think that would be a mistake for me to do that different kind of games in my own company. But we have a horror game for kids.
It's a horror game for kids.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
It's a little bit about the same thing that like Scooby-Doo. It's not that scary, but yeah. So it's a role-playing game, storytale, fright. We think about calling it, and it's actually the game itself. It's done. We are finished with it, but we don't have any. We haven't managed to put it out yet because we are working so hard on these other projects. So it will be maybe next year.
Cool. Also for small children, or this should be elder children, or
yeah, for everyone who likes Scooby-Doo and stuff like that. We had in Sweden these novelty books with short stories aimed from maybe 6-7 years and up, with kind of scary ghost stories actually. And I grew up with these books, and I think it can be a little bit scary without being too much.
So, right now we have 3 minutes left, and as like in my panels before, these last 3 minutes solely belong to you, and just give out your message to all our viewers out there in Germany, just watching it, just tell them what you want to like. You have 3 minutes, these minutes belong to you.
Well, okay, we have been doing this for 10 years. It started out as a play between me and my daughter, and now it's a living for us. Even my wife is working in the business with me. She's handling all the economics and stuff, that boring stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still a little bit hard to make a living on this, because often it's long-term money. You have to wait before you publish the game and you sell it, but it's long-term investments. So I have made a what do you call it, Patreon. So if you
have a Patreon.
Yeah, I have a Patreon. So if you think that I do great things, you can go into my Patreon, Daniel Lehto.
Just send the link to Philip after this call, and we will share your Patreon link on our social media for sure.
Wow, thank you. Yeah,
you're so welcome.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy that you were here. And I'm looking forward to talk to you again next year when your Space Pirate Children game is coming out, and I'm really looking forward seeing it and the artworks in it. And again, I remind you, bring out part 2 and 3 of Sarah and Hopper. Children here are saying this was a cliffhanger. You can't leave us so long with a cliffhanger.
No, I will try to manage faster release.
Okay, Daniel. Then thank you for visiting us. Have a nice day. Greetings to Sweden. Stay healthy, and present our greetings to Julia.
I will do that.
Tell her to do further really great games, enjoying all of us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye-bye, Daniel.
Bye-bye.
Ja, das waren meine 3 Gespräche, die ich geführt habe. Ihr habt eine Spur von Begeisterung gespürt für Äventyr. Ich liebe dieses Spiel immer noch. Es ist wirklich, wirklich großartig. Wenn ihr es noch nicht kennt, dann schaut es euch bitte an. Wir haben es bei uns im Shop. Wir haben es auch, wenn ihr es erstmal als PDF sehen wollt, natürlich auch auf Drive-Thru-RPG. Wenn ihr Kinder habt oder Leute mit Kindern kennt oder irgendwann Kinder haben wollt oder Kinder seid, dann ist das ein perfektes Spiel, um es zu spielen. Ich frage mal die Regie, ob ich abgeben kann an den nächsten Call. Nein, noch nicht, sagt mir die Regie. Dann fülle ich jetzt noch die Luft. Wir haben also bis jetzt schon 4 tolle Gespräche mit unseren internationalen Lizenzgebern geführt. Angefangen hat Kai mit Cubicle 7 und hat über Warhammer Fantasy und Warhammer 40k gesprochen. Weitergemacht habe ich dann mit dem Mirko, der hier noch neben mir saß, und habe gesprochen mit Ben McFarland von Kobold Press und haben über das Tome of Beasts und Margrave gesprochen. Wirklich großartiges Buch. Tome of Beasts, wenn ihr einfach mehr Monster braucht, nehmt das Tome of Beasts, mehrere 100 Monster zwischen 2 Buchdeckeln, besser geht's nicht mehr. Guckt euch den Void, den leeren Drachen an. Entweder auf Englisch oder wartet noch ein bisschen, wir bringen das auf Deutsch raus. Danach haben wir mit Paizo gesprochen über Pathfinder 2, mit Daniel von Äventyr, und jetzt, die 3 werden sich jetzt unterhalten. Ich sehe sie schon im Bild neben mir. Ich wünsche euch noch viel Spaß. Ich bin jetzt raus. Tschüss.
Hi, and with that I believe we are live. if I got that right. So, hi, first and foremost. Let's start with me. My name is Thomas Michalski, and I'm the German line manager for the World of Darkness. But I'm the least important person in this chat right now because we have two honored guests. And maybe it would be good if you just start introducing yourself. Jason, would you start?
Sure. I'm Jason Carl. Guten Tag. Hello from Los Angeles. I'm the brand marketing manager for the World of Darkness. Sometimes I host LA by night or Seattle by night on stream, and I'm very happy to be speaking to you today for this very first convention hosted by our friends at Ulisses Spiele.
Welcome.
And I am Martina Zich, also known as Outstar. Guten Tag. I am right now connecting from pretty close to Germany, from Western Poland, and I'm very happy to be here. I work as the community developer for World of Darkness brand.
Yeah, we are all pretty excited to have you here today, and I think it's one of the benefits of an online convention that we can just do this in a very international manner. I mean, we're connecting 3 different countries here, and so it should be fun, I guess.
I think you're right, Thomas. I hear that it is a world of darkness.
It is indeed, yes. And I think it's also one of the great things about the brand that it's such an international thing, and that currently we're creating opportunities for different countries to engage in this brand. And that's just not a solitary thing that's, I don't know, done in the USA or in Germany or somewhere, but all around the world. And I think that's great. And Jason and I had a short chat before we started this call and agreed that we both do not really know what to expect of the next half hour or hour that we have here. So we'll just make it a friendly chat about the World of Darkness, I guess, and see where that leads us.
I will start with complimenting on your background, because as much as I don't have anything in my back to show, but I think we are actually sharing some of our books in there.
You should have seen it half an hour ago before I cleared the desk and placed the books there. But yeah, speaking about the international aspects of the World of Darkness and the international appeal of it, I know that community is something that you all value very much. And Martina, which is especially important for the position you're in, as far as I know. So maybe we can just start by talking a bit about what are your community plans and what are you setting in place currently, and what are you doing and plan to do?
Absolutely. I always love to talk about it. And whenever the topic comes, I can just talk and talk. So please feel free to stop me if it goes for too long. But once I was kind of put in the very middle of all of these challenges and opportunities that the development of Community for World of Darkness gives as the position, it was just like a door have opened for me. And it was a very great introductory experience to how it works like behind the scenes. And I guess as much as I was part of the Community for World of Darkness for a long time, it really opened my eyes to see it from the perspective of the brand team and Paradox and World of Darkness as a brand team, to see how large and vast this community is. We, of course, see a lot of the community members from all across the world when we browse what fans are doing online, but it never really shines so much when you have the real data, when you actually can see how much of the fans are contacting us and letting us know what their plans and dreams are for the community in the future. And that is mainly what I would like to do. I am a link in between the community of World of Darkness and the team itself. And the community has a lot of the dreams and wishes of how they wish the World of Darkness to expand across the world. And, it is our job to make some of these wishes at least come true. And I really hope that this is what we are going to do in the next upcoming years. What is right now, I guess, one of our biggest goals is to make sure that the community is informed about all of the different endeavors that we're doing, because there are so many products, so many games, books, comics, and it just comes and comes. And a lot of our upcoming products are just super interesting, and we really wouldn't like anyone from the community to to not see them or not stumble upon them when they interact with World of Darkness. And that's why we established World of Darkness news show, World of Darkness Discord, and there are going to be more features like this in the future, which are going to connect a community with the brand and to let both us hear them and them hear what we have to offer. So that's the main plan.
Yeah. I find that really fascinating because I think brand is such a corporate term if you usually hear it, and it's such a business term, but the World of Darkness has found a way to change that and use it more like, I don't know, just a unifying expression of all things World of Darkness. And I noticed that when I'm talking to friends of mine and they ask, is it still White Wolf doing the World of Darkness? And the answer, I guess, is yes, but also all these other endeavors. And that's really, I don't know, I think it's really fascinating.
We think of it as a brand, of course, because it is, but it's also a shared story world. It's a big, deep, rich universe with all kinds of stories that are created not only by the team at Paradox Interactive, but by our licensee partners, and also, very importantly, by the community. Everything that we do puts story opportunities into the hands of the community around the globe. So they get to experience the World of Darkness in their own homes, on their computers, at their tables, in their imaginations. And when the World of Darkness leaves our hands and comes to them, it really becomes a global shared community, a story that can touch everybody who's participating all around the world in it. And I think that's one of the things that makes it very different from a typical brand, which, as you said, is a rather a corporate word. This is not an ordinary experience.
That's indeed true.
I want to add very quickly to that. It's kind of funny when we work with Jason and with Sean, Karim, Justin, and Thomas in the team. And very often during our meetings, whenever we're talking about some new endeavors that we want to do, new community aspects as well, we are saying, okay, so this is again a thing that no one else has done before. And how do we approach this? We have no data. We have no information from, any previous brands that have done various things that we are trying to do. So this is very much a big challenge, but also it's so exciting to work in that kind of environment.
Oh, I agree completely. There is no model for us to follow. We can take inspiration from other story worlds, other game companies, but we are trying to do something that is unique, and that's both terrifying and very exciting.
I agree, and I also noticed that when we were working on the German edition of the core rules and Camarilla and Anarch books, and
so happy to see those in German. So happy.
Me too. And
thank you so much for doing that. Dankeschön.
You're welcome. And I called it quit for the day, and I watched some trailer show for new video games and caught a new werewolf game in that. And it's just fun to see it in all these different directions and always encounter it in a way. And in that sense, of course, I also see why it's important to set up the news show that you mentioned. And that's running for, 2 months now? 3? I don't know.
I know for sure it's 13 episodes already, because I operate that's 13 weeks, right? So every single week we were able to have the show. And except for the very first episode, we had guests on every single show so far. So I think it's a really good success as for now, but it's not us just, settling on this and stopping on that. We obviously want to branch this further, make this bigger and better in the future. So I feel like World of Darkness News is going to see some evolution throughout the years, but because we, of course, plan to do it for the foreseeable future. And as long as we have news every week, which happens all the time, there's going to be news for the fans. But also we want to expand what we do on our Twitch channel in the future as well, and give more cool places for our community to hang out and get information from.
That's great. And Jason, mentioning the streams, I think many people might know your face from several, actual play videos and these kind of things. And how did that come about? When was the point when you figured, let's do that?
About 2 years ago. I've been a fan of live stream tabletop RPGs for a long time. Some of my friends are on a D&D show, Critical Role, and they really inspired me to try to share the World of Darkness on a stream. And so I talked to some colleagues who were at Geek and Sundry Legendary Entertainment, and we thought this would be a great idea. But we want to really showcase the World of Darkness. It's different than many other RPG experiences, and they offered me the opportunity to try to show a very different side of tabletop role playing and a different way to experience Vampire the Masquerade at home. So, to be honest, we didn't know if people would enjoy it. We got together as players and talked about the story we wanted to tell and what we thought would be interesting and the kind of characters that we thought that would be fun to play. And I was very lucky because the players trusted me to tell a story with them. And as it turns out, people enjoyed it. And that's very, very important to us. We will continue to do LA by Night and other streams as long as people want to watch. And we hope to expand our streaming for tabletop as well. Hopefully everyone has seen Outstar's work on Vain Pursuit, which is a prelude story to Bloodlines 2. It connects to that story universe. And you can expect to see more tabletop stories in the future from us, and not just Vampire.
Oh, well, that sounds exciting. And in a way that also makes the streams and the video games and the books and all kind of a shared universe, which is of course fun as well. So people can try to connect dots maybe and see where that leads.
There are dots to connect. If you watch LA by Night, Seattle by Night, and Vain Pursuit, there are dots. We might not tell you what the dots are, but they're there.
And there are not only dots in between the streaming shows, but also streaming shows and products and video games and board games. So if you are getting deeper into World of Darkness universe, as much as, of course, we try our best for each of the products to be very approachable for someone who doesn't know all of this broader meta plot and the big lore. So you can start from watching Seattle by Night or LA by Night, or by playing a board game, or maybe playing Bloodlines 2. But if you get deeper, you will find a lot of dots that connect all of these things.
I mean, that's the strength of the World of Darkness in general, I guess. I had long discussions, for example, with our translator, because he was delving deep into the lore to find proper translations for the new books, going back to the old books and all that. And it's just a really vast undertaking, this whole World of Darkness. But you mentioned a different side of pen and paper or tabletop role-playing games, and I think that's an important point to stress as well, because also with the new design, for example, of the V5 books, they're so different. And in a way, I think it might be different in a similar vein as the first incarnation of the World of Darkness was different to the games played back in those days. And I think it's important that this is something that is kept, that the World of Darkness still is something that dares to do things and keep things fresh. And so it's also great to see this expanding into, for example, the streaming space.
Yeah, I think that the freshness of Vampire the Masquerade is just something that got me to Vampire the Masquerade and to World of Darkness at first, when I began playing Bloodlines 1 in 2004 and then got into the role-playing. And then I got a longer break of role-playing in World of Darkness before V5. And V5 kind of brought me back to that same state which I felt when I was just a teenager, the same freshness of ideas and the universe that seemed to be very much connected with the reality and with everything around me. It felt very modern and very much applicable to my experiences in the real life. So I guess that's one of the ways that World of Darkness tries to go with the 5th edition, trying to be very much applicable to the experiences around us and expand it with this additional layer of something lurking in the darkness.
Oh, definitely. I think I agree completely. One of its great strengths is that it is a story world of deep secrets to discover. But our creative lead, Justin, always reminds us that the world of darkness has always been about pushing back against that darkness. It's about rejecting the misuse of power and rebelling against it, especially in Vampire. The player stands against the monstrosity of the world around them, but also the monstrosity of what is inside them. And to me, that is a story that is always fresh because it's always happening right now in the world around us. And by experiencing that story in new ways through Vampire, I think we learn a lot about who we are, as people.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I'm the odd man out. My entry point to the World of Darkness was Mage the Ascension, so maybe a different kind of personal experience.
Yeah,
but
Mage is also again about pushing back against forces that might seek to control you or manipulate you too, in a different way than Vampire.
Yeah, and so I can relate to the experience the V5 is transporting as well. And going back to Martina, what you said, I had the same experience comparing my first encounter with Mage and now looking at the V5 with the same vein, just looking at it and thinking, this is different, this feels new, this feels exciting, and this feels like it's saying something. But to make a small jump back to the community aspects, you also launched a Discord server or are planning to launch one?
No, the Discord server is running. We are right now counting, I think, about 4,200 members. So it's growing rapidly. And
4,200.
Yes, I'm very happy with how it's going on because we, of course, want to open the server, drawing from a lot of experiences of different community managers and developers from Paradox Interactive. They do have plenty of other Discord servers that maybe our community hasn't visited yet, like Crusader Kings 3 or Stellaris or Bloodlines 2, of course. And these servers were very much of a success, and there was a lot of wonderful stuff that happened because of the community on Discord that was drawing together in some big moments in development of games, for example, to celebrate. And we wanted to use their experience, but also start something new and something broader, because, of course, World of Darkness server is not about one product. It's about a lot of them. And it's also something that needs to cater both to the acquisition audience, to our new people who are just discovering World of Darkness and want to learn new things, but also to people who are with us for 10 or 20 years. So there were a lot of challenges in the design on how to make it so it will be useful for all of these groups. But I think we made it work. For example, we set up the roles on the server. And when you come here for the first time, you can choose the roles, like if you're a writer or a storyteller, if you're looking for roleplay, or if you are a person very much experienced in the World of Darkness or not. And this way, we can very easily see, for example, that our fledglings, so people who are just new to the World of Darkness, are learning a lot of things on the server from the users who are more acquainted to it. And I see these conversations happening there every day. I just browse the server and see how people are interacting, and it makes my heart so warm and happy that the community is blooming there. So I hope to expand it further. And even if we get to 10 or 20K users in the future, hopefully, I really hope that this atmosphere of the mutual help and respect is going to continue.
It's really impressive. I didn't know much about Discord until Martina gently introduced me into the world. And I admit I didn't know what to expect. Would our fans, would our community want to use a server? Would they want to join it? What information would they be looking for? What kind of information would they share? And I'm amazed, and I'm very happy, and I'm very thrilled that we have this communication hub where fans who've been with us for 30 years or people who just discovered us last week can visit, talk to other fans from all over the world. From the international discussions on the server are very impressive. I'm really happy to see them. And it's really wonderful to see all these players and fans from around the planet sharing their experiences, asking questions, trading information, finding new ways to play in the World of Darkness together. I'm super impressed. And now I'm a big believer in the power of the Discord community.
Yeah, I'm I'm like you. I'm still discovering the whole world of Discord, so I'm not as informed as I maybe should be right at this point. But it sounds intriguing, and just as a place, as a hub where the community can gather and express their love for the world of darkness, but also exchange experiences. Yeah, that sounds indeed. It sounds great. So I will have a look at it.
I've rediscovered people who I met last year at PDXCon in Berlin, who I remember from that wonderful weekend, who have come to our Discord and said hello. And it's a great way to reconnect with people you don't see so often in the physical world, especially now when the world is a bit uncertain about when we can all meet up together again.
At all, yes. Not just between, the States and here, but also between, well, basically every town. So yeah,
basically everywhere. And I think that's one of the reasons that conventions like this, online digital experiences, are so important now, because it can keep us connected as a community.
Especially with such a vast international community, because I know how important the World of Darkness has been for so many people in Germany as well. Long before I started myself working here, so many people playing Vampire LARP, or the board games, or the tabletop games, the video games, and it's just cool to see it all connected.
As long as we're talking about that, we'd like to take this opportunity to invite your customers, your players in Germany, to join our Discord, or to find us online on social media, or to visit the World of Darkness news stream that Martina hosts every week. Come and say hello, join us, and let us know what your experiences are. Share your stories, share your characters, and also tell us what you would like to see in the World of Darkness. Where do you want these stories to go? What kind of books and products and games do you want to see? It's very, very important for us to get that feedback from our community.
It's a big part of my job. Sorry, it's just something that I do every single day, even on the weekends sometimes. I just love going around the internet and seeing what people are talking about and what are their dreams and wishes for World of Darkness. So the more feedback we get, I know, it's so fun, It's fun to get people's opinions and interact with people every day. And it's just because I care very much on the personal level for the World of Darkness and in its future. And I really care for our community to have a good time. So the more feedback we get, the better we will strive to be based on that feedback.
But Jason, there was bait that I just cannot leave untouched, because you mentioned future products. So let's talk a bit about that, because I'm sure our audience over here is also curious what to expect, especially since also in Germany we have now the core book in the hands of the players, and Camarilla and Anarchen in Germany will follow very soon. Fall of London is nearly translated, so things are progressing quite well over here. And so our view, of course, also shifts towards the future. So what can we expect?
Well, I think the best place to learn about what is next in terms of global product development and game releases is, of course, our social media and our World of Darkness news streaming show. I think, Martina, you recently posted a short list of things that are in development for global release. Short list. What is it, like a dozen different games of different kinds? Video games, board games, card games, comic books, video games, of course, and tabletop role-playing. And of course, there is more in development that we cannot discuss yet. We will reveal it to you at a dramatically appropriate moment. Very important for us to know what you would like to see. What video games would the community really enjoy playing? What kind of books would they like to see? Not only books that are being translated right now into the German language, but what about original content? If there are books that are describing the World of Darkness as it exists tonight in Germany, what would those books be? What would they look like? We would like to know.
We do too. So that's my point, where I can say nothing I can already discuss. But of course, we're also thinking about these questions and seeing what we might do over here. But of the products already announced, is there anything you would like to shine a light on, or a shadow, if you will? So anything?
Oh wow, Martina, is there anything super in particular? They're all so good, and I'm so anxious to play each and every one of them. I don't know how to choose.
I of course would love to shine the light on the products that will get some confirmed reveals pretty soon, especially in August during Gamescom, for example. We of course have our very first Rave game coming, Rave: The Oblivion Afterlife, which we are very excited about. And it's a VR game which is specifically designed for this purpose. And it's designed by a team of Fast Travel Games who are extremely experienced in the field. And we are absolutely ensured that the game is in the best hands possible, and it's going to be a terrifying experience. And as a fan of horror games, I'm just so on board for that. But also something that we've just had the new reveals for yesterday, and we're going to have more reveals next month. There's a game which is set in Poland, and that's also something that is very close to my heart. The upcoming Werewolf the Apocalypse game called Heart of the Forest, which is set up in Białowieża Forest in Poland. And it's a very wonderful introductory experience to Werewolf the Apocalypse, but also I feel it's going to be really fun for fans of Werewolf the Apocalypse that have been with us since the first edition. So it's going to be an experience, very much a narrative experience with a lot of the story. And it was already played by multiple players and journalists. And so far, the feedback is super positive. So I'm very happy that we are getting a werewolf game like this. And we're going to get more people on board to play this. And with werewolf in general, and I'm very happy that I can talk about it now because it's usually so much vampire. And, it's all about vampire. But now we are branching forward. I heard a very wonderful thing from one of the influencers. I feel like it was the Primogen. In one of the videos I've seen yesterday, that Werewolf: Heart of the Forest and Earthblood are a bit of a dualism, just like Werewolf the Apocalypse has, about the rage and the spirit. Earthblood is very much of an action game, which is driven by your rage that you that you can spend in your combat abilities, and you can destroy the power of the worm yourself. While Heart of the Forest is much more of the spirit game. And I love this comparison, and I really like the fact that we have both sides of werewolf shown in our portfolio.
It also kind of goes to I mean it in a positive way, but the weirdness of werewolf, because it's, on the one hand, it's a game about enraged beings throwing dumpsters at evil creatures, and on the other hand, it's really such a deep spiritual thing that you can use in very different ways with large metaphorical concepts.
I think that's one of the great strengths of the World of Darkness. Each and every one of the games in the World of Darkness is complex and rich and deep and has multiple ways to approach it. You can play vampire or werewolf or mage or hunter or mummy as an action-packed John Wick thriller if you want to, or you can play it as a very cerebral political Game of Thrones experience. Any style of story that you want to tell and share, you can do that in each and every one of the World of Darkness games. And I think that's one of the things that has kept me passionate about it for all of these years. There's always something fresh and new and a new way to do it and think about it.
I also think it changes the way it changes in a way when you change. Looking at the mage games we played when I was at the end of, let's say, comparable to high school, compared to things I would do now, and also looking at vampire from today's perspective compared to the late 90s when I had my first encounter with that. And it also speaks to the brand in a way that it can adapt in a way, and that it's multi-layered, so you can find new aspects with personal growth and a change in perspectives due to that.
Yeah, I think with in general, with the role-playing systems that deep and reaching that much in its ingrainment in the real world and in things around us, the character development in the game happens as our character development in real world happens as well. As you said, your role-playing experiences were different when you were younger than they are now, and it was the same for me, and I think it was the same for a lot of different players. I've been role-playing a lot online with different people through Discord servers and through online campaigns, and I've noticed how many people change their approach to how they role-play characters depending on the experience and depending on how deep they are in the lore, for example, and how long they're role-playing and how old they are as well. Because as we grow, I think our approach to role-playing changes as well. And I really like the fact that World of Darkness, as much as of course it's a game for mature audiences, but when you are a young adult and you can approach it in a completely different way than when you are older. You can play it as a superhero game almost. You can play it in a completely out of this world manner, but you can also ingrain it in very real world problems. And it all depends on the storyteller, on the players. We have a lot of tools in our book that we are offering to make sure that these games are pleasant for everyone at the table. And that's also what we like to do with the future books and with the future settings, to make sure that they're approachable for the new players and offer a lot of ways to roleplay and tools to do it well and in a considerable way for more mature audiences.
Yeah, I also have to commend the way I think the current books do it, because there are, of course, very serious subjects discussed in the books. And I think it's important to do that in a way, because also it gives people the ability to reflect on these subjects in a safe space of a group of friends they're playing with and not real life. But of course, it has to be done with care. And I think there have been really good steps undertaken with the past products to go in that direction. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, considerate role play is very, very important to us. Respectful role play. I think that it's fair to say that it's something we're very much committed to.
Great. So I know, Martina, you picked some. Let me try again, Jason. Any products you would like to highlight?
There's so many. I hate to leave any out because I'm looking forward to them all. I think what's top of my mind at the very moment, I'm very much looking forward to the release of the very first Vampire the Masquerade comic book issues next month from Vault Comics. Winter's Teeth is going to, I think, be a really fun story for everybody. It's I don't want to give it away. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's not what you expect. And it's really awesome. I'm so excited to see Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness in comic books again. That's super exciting for us. Go ahead, Martina.
I know I can't just fangirl over every single product we have because we don't have much time, but I need to say that I am just absolutely happy, like as a fan, about the Walk Among Us audiobooks. And this is something that literally invited me into the area of audiobooks, because so far I've been so skeptical. I was always like, but books are faster to read. Why would I listen to the audiobook and listen to I think it's like 11 hours of content that Walk Among Us is sharing, something around that, 11 hours, 40 minutes. And I've been just walking my dog for the past month every single day. I was just taking all of the possible dog walking trips with my husband that we usually share, because I just wanted to listen to more of Walk Among Us because it's so good.
So and that's what you were doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is she walking her dog again? We got a meeting in 5 minutes.
Yes. I know, I gotta listen more. My dog is very happy about these books as well, because he gets more walks. But they are written by 3 wonderful female writers, and all of them are just so different from each other. From
it's really amazing.
Yeah, from the fledgling story to the story of this super cold Ventrue, and to the last story, which I'm listening to right now, which is also completely different from the previous ones. I love how different they are. The settings are different, the protagonists are different, and the voice actors are doing just such an amazing work with it. It's great.
It's so impressive, and it's been a joy to work with HarperCollins on making these books a reality. I'm looking forward to the Vampire the Masquerade Rivals card game, the expandable card game that we've been sharing some previews of recently. It's going to be incredible amounts of fun. I'm looking forward to the 5th edition of Vampire the Eternal Struggle, our very first card game. There are board games that have been in development for a little over a year that are, reaching the point of release that I'm super excited about, like Vampire the Masquerade Heritage, which is very, very exciting. It's deep, rich, complex political gameplay, which I'm very much looking forward to. Blood Feud is coming soon, and that is a very different new style of game. What's called a mega role-playing game. It's an extraordinary effort. So it's just so hard to pick favorites.
And I can actually reveal something because we did something very exciting with Vampire the Masquerade Rivals team.
Right.
Yes, this week, and this is going to be available online to watch soon. We've recorded a play session of Vampire the Masquerade Rivals, playing me with LA by Night cast. So that was really amazing. We have Xander as the Malkavian, B. Dave Walters as Ventru, and Erika Ishii was playing Bruja. I was playing a Toreador, and we were battling against each other in Rivals. It was super fun. And we recorded it, so it's going to be online soon. For more information, if you're interested, go to vampirerivals.com. And there's going to be an announcement of the video as soon as it releases.
So as you can see, Thomas, we have nothing to do.
Yes.
We're not busy at all.
It's the same over here. We're just chilling all the day. So
I can see that.
But it's also, I think it's one of the fascinating parts of our industry, seeing these projects grow also long before the public knows about them, but seeing ideas thrown around, nurturing them, giving them some sort of shape, developing further. And at some point it's books and games, and they are manifest in the world. And I really enjoy that. And it's great to see that the World of Darkness is thriving in that way as well. So, because, I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s, I was a bit worried where the train might be going, but it's great to see back in such a full force and in so many media.
Did you start? You said your doorway into the World of Darkness was Mage, and was that in the tabletop role playing? Was that your first experience?
Yeah, not in tabletop role-playing in general. I started, like many in Germany, with Das Schwarze Auge, the Dark Eye, and played and played Shadowrun and Earthdawn and Warhammer and many before. And then a friend carried along this weird purple book with this tarot card on the cover and said, let's try that. And it changed a lot for me. It's really an amazing game set within an amazing larger setting that, like I mentioned before, really challenges you to look differently at the world, and that really, well, it caught me in a way and never let me go. And so I first really consumed everything Mage I could get in German, and then everything Vampire I could get in German, and then my English certainly reached a point where I started consuming the English stuff as well. And well, I never stopped since then. So it's really great to see it all back and see it develop for the next edition. I'm also looking forward to the Werewolf 5th edition once there is a point reached where we can talk about things publicly. And so it's really great to see it all back in new shape. And yeah, I'm curious what the future will hold.
And we are too.
Yeah, as a fan, it was just so important for me to see the developments with the IP and how it's just like the doors for more opportunities opened. I still remember the day when it was announced that White Wolf was acquired by Paradox Interactive. I was I think it was like the first beginning of the time when I started using Discord with my friends. And we were just so happy. He's from UK, I'm from Poland, so we were on a call. We both opened the bottle of wine and made a vampire playlist on Spotify, which still exists, by the way. It has like 100 vampire songs, because we were so happy. We're celebrating that Vampire the Masquerade is going to get more products and more games because of the reacquisition. So that was very important for us, and I'm just very glad to live in the era of World of Darkness Renaissance, because that's what I think it is. It is truly a renaissance, and we're going to get so many more products that are going to just confirm this as a fact.
Yeah, also, like I mentioned with the new game announcements in part, I remember a few weeks ago, a friend, or maybe 2 weeks, a friend asked me if I had seen the new Vampire game announced, and I was like, yeah, sure. But I was wrong, because it was Swansong, and I hadn't heard before, but it just was, I didn't expect the third game to come along in the vein and just add to the chorus, and it's really fun.
And doesn't that look incredible?
It does. It does.
Looks like it's a super fun story. We're very excited about that.
Yeah.
And I wish we could tell you everything else that we're working on too, but of course.
Yeah, I'll be nagging via email in the future. So we'll see where that leads.
You know where to find us.
I do. And that leads me to the point where I've just been notified that we are more or less at the end of our chat here. So if there's anything left unsaid that you cannot leave unsaid, that you just want out in the world right now, that would be a chance to share it with our audience.
Martina?
All right. Well, if there's anything that is need to be said and announced, I welcome everyone to join us on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Central European Time. If you're in Germany, that's 17 European Time, as we say it. To Twitch TV/World of Darkness for our weekly news show. We are always sharing some new information about the products from all across the boards, board games, video games, and others. Whenever we have some news, we share them on the show. So please feel free to follow us there and join us on Thursdays.
I want to say thank you for joining us today, Dr. Scholl. It's really wonderful to be speaking with our German friends again. I hope we meet again in person soon to share our love for the World of Darkness. And finally, just to remind you to come find us on social media. As Martina said, visit our news show, come to our Discord, come talk to us. Your feedback, your opinions, your thoughts, and your feelings about the World of Darkness are more important than you think. We really want to know what they are. So please don't be shy about telling us.
We don't bite, usually.
Yeah,
I never promised that.
I have to thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure. I hope our audience had fun. I know I did. And so I wish you a great rest of your weekend. And I will hand it over back to Valdems, where the rest of the Ulisses Online Convention stream will happen then. Thank you again for joining us. And
thank you very much. Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you, Thomas. Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye-bye.
Tja, die Weltkugel dreht sich aus dem internationalen Bereich und bleibt direkt auf Valdems stehen. Das hat diese Ortschaft lange nicht mehr erlebt. Nein, sehr interessant, was wir da gehört haben von unseren internationalen Partnern. Ich hoffe, die meisten von euch werden das Ganze auch verstanden haben. Englisch ist ja inzwischen zum Glück, muss man sagen, eine sehr geläufige Sprache. Durch das Internet, durch das World Wide Web hat sich das ja doch rasant verbreitet. Sehr, sehr cool, was da gekommen ist und was uns da in Zukunft noch erwartet. Hier am heutigen Tag bei uns in Valdems sind wir tatsächlich auch noch nicht am Ende angekommen. Unten, ja, auf Stage 1, da bereitet sich die Crew langsam, aber sicher vor auf unser finales Show-Moment hier am heutigen Abend, und zwar auf unser Alien-Let's Play, an dem tatsächlich ja so gut wie alle dran beteiligt sind. Da freue ich mich sehr drauf, habe ich noch nie gespielt und kenne nur den Film, weiß also nicht, was mich erwartet. Bevor wir da aber reingucken und damit starten, habe ich noch eine ganz kleine Kleinigkeit für euch. Ich habe mir versucht, die Mühe zu machen, ein kleines Behind-the-Scenes-Video für euch zu erstellen während des heutigen Tages. Ja, es ist, sagen wir mal so, zusammengeschustert. Ich hoffe, es gefällt euch trotzdem. So Leute, und das ist jetzt der Weg zu unserer Bühne. Wenn man sich das mal anguckt, wir sind hier halt wirklich mittendrin im Lager von Ulisses. Und da oben, da gehe ich jetzt hin. Martin, keine Sorge, es sind noch 5 Minuten bis zum Sendungsstart. Das wird schon alles. Ja, wir haben noch 3 Minuten oder so. Und ich bin heute so gut vorbereitet. Ich hatte nicht mal mehr Zeit, das aufzukleben, sondern ich hoffe, es fällt mir nicht irgendwann mit der Sendung runter. Das ist echte Pro. Ja, absolut gut vorbereitet, aber ich freue mich mega auf den Tag. Ich glaube, es wird sehr spannend. Noch geiler als gestern.
Ich habe bei der Wochenbesprechung gemerkt, wie viel verdammte Screentime ich habe. Das ist eigentlich viel mehr, als ich wollte.
Ach komm, poliert doch dein Ego bis zum Nordpol hoch.
Wir haben das anders besprochen.
Ja.
Show Us Your Crypt, also die Führung durch Markus Keller, fand ich auch ganz großartig. Komplex.
Und Carsten war auch immer gut dabei zu sagen, wie lange dauert denn das Programmieren eigentlich braucht dich eigentlich für andere Sachen?
Ja, zu dem Zeitpunkt bestand unsere IT aus einer Person.
Wir haben eine Klimaanlage, haben sie gesagt. Wir installieren die mal schnell, haben sie gesagt.
Nice!
Für den Arsch, sag ich. Ah, kommt tatsächlich was an. Ja, kommt was an, so. Ja. So, das ist Johannes. Ich glaube, ihr kennt ihn nicht. Ihr habt ihn halt gerade kennengelernt. Einer unserer DSA-Redakteure. Und er macht sich gerade ready hier, um mit mir gleich über die Rätselquest zu quatschen. Ich hoffe, du hast schon richtig Bock und bist ready. Ja, man sieht's. Ich finde, du hilfst doch mal dem Mann. Weißt du, der steht da hinten und frisst sein Brötchen. Tja, liebe Leute, so sieht der Arbeitsplatz eines typischen Ulysses-Mitarbeiters aus. Ja? Also, ich weiß nicht, wie es bei euch im Büro aussieht, aber ich fühle mich hier tatsächlich ganz wohl. Nur, dass ich jetzt arbeiten muss. Wer übrigens mal nicht weiß, was er mit seiner Freizeit anfangen soll oder wo er seinen Urlaub verbringen möchte, dem kann ich nur empfehlen, buch doch mal einen All-Inclusive-Trip in das Lager von Ulisses. Ich glaube, für circa 2-3 Wochen findet man hier echt genug Nerdmaterial, um einen wohlverdienten und geruhsamen Urlaub zu verbringen. Es ist einfach Wahnsinn, wie viel Material und Content es gibt in unserem Hobby. Es ist schon eine spannende Konstruktion. Und als ich hier angekommen bin, habe ich mich tatsächlich die Frage gestellt, wie zur Hölle haben die Kabel über diese doch tiefe Schlucht bekommen? So, und ich gehe mir jetzt mal angucken, was der Johannes und die Zoe da abliefern zum Thema Dampfen. Oh Gott, ich kriege Höhenangst, wenn ich durch die Kamera gucke. Johannes und Zoe. Ich weiß nicht, ob sie schon auf Sendung sind oder ob ein Video läuft.
Das, was ihr gerade hoffentlich gehört habt, ist das Exposé-Thema zu den Dampfungen aus dem großartigen Sphärenplan-Soundtrack aus dem Fehler von
Nur am Pause machen, die beiden, wisst ihr? Nur am Pause. Guck dir das an. Nur am Pause machen. Ob ich damit wohl fahren darf? Ich weiß nicht mal, wo man einsteigt. Ach, das Gas steigt man gar nicht ein. Ich glaube, man drückt hier einfach nur den Knopf. Nee, Markus, alles gut, ich mache nicht. Ich bin mir nicht ganz sicher, was Boba von mir will. Eine Spende? Oder war da mal was drin? So, ich entspanne mich jetzt erstmal bei lecker Zimtschnecker. Und guck unseren beiden Kollegen mal zu, was sie da jetzt so machen. Ich glaube, es geht um das Thema Crowdfunding. Ja? Immer noch geil. Ist gerade was schief gegangen. Und für den nächsten Slot habe ich gar keinen Hintergrundgast, weil der ist gar nicht da. Dann muss ich mir schnell was ausdenken. Und ich habe richtig alte Teile hier gefunden. Und da dachte ich mir, ja, mach doch mal irgendwas Altes und was Neues. Und jetzt muss ich mir was aus den Fingern saugen. Aber ich bin Vollprofi und wird euch gar nicht auffallen. Keiner da.
mache ich hier eigentlich? Ich spiele mit verdammten scheiß Anfängern und Kindern und irgendwelchen Kack. So ein Müll muss ich mir doch nicht antun. Wo ist die verdammte Veranstaltung? Verdammter Scheißladen! Wo ist mein verschissener Agent? Wenn ich die dumme Sau krieg, gibt's voll das Maul!
So, liebe Leute, das war ein kurzer Ausblick, natürlich nicht vollständig, weil die meisten Leute hatten tatsächlich die ganze Zeit was zu tun. Ich habe versucht einzufangen, was einzufangen war. Ich hoffe, es hat euch ein bisschen Spaß gemacht, weil das soll es hier ja in allererster Linie. Wir wollen für euch natürlich eine coole Show bieten, damit ihr zu Hause einfach Spaß habt. Ja, darum soll es hier in allererster und nicht in letzter Linie gehen. Und deshalb ist es mir auch eine große Freude, unser Hauptevent am heutigen Abend anzukündigen. Und zwar ein Alien-Let's Play mit Markus in der Meisterrolle und dem Rest der Crew als mitunter verfeindete Weltraumabenteurer, die auf ihr Abmetzeln warten. Kurze Pause und danach gehen wir direkt rein in das Alien Let's Play, würde ich sagen. Regie, machen wir jetzt Pause oder muss ich jetzt noch... Ja, okay, habe ich richtig verstanden, ja, danke. Okay, ja. Ja, Pause.